Here we come, starting another one of these. We get the funniest looks from every industry peep. Hey, we're the Retireholics. People say we're drunk all the time, but we're too busy drinking to give a fuck what they say. Welcome to another episode of Retireholics, everyone. I know. It's been 3 long weeks. Those gosh darn months that do that to you. I apologize on their behalf. But don't you fret, my cute little 401k yearlings. What is that? Like a baby deer or something? You little 401k yearlings.
Horse.
We're back.
Geldings?
And we got the
something.
king of verbosity. That's a word. It's got to be. The king of verbosity, Silent J. Do I drink for the J? I'll drink twice.
No.
A guy that does
No.
a guy that does very creepy things with spreadsheets, Nerdy Chad. And the man with skin so soft to the touch that he can only wear a soft cotton robe. The R to the O to the B to the E. Everybody's favorite Retireholic, Robe Guy. All right, Justin, let's get right into it, shall we? It's episode number Who the Fuck Cares?
No.
I thought you were going to have it.
Start caring about that,
Yes,
dude.
we should.
And who is our lucky guest?
She is a mom of 3 joining us from Ada, Michigan. She's a marketing genius who had the wherewithal to leave the 9-to-5 that me, Chad, and Mark are still slave to and build out her own company. She takes a very unique approach to mentoring her clients and even takes notes from rap legends like Mr. Ludacris himself to fine-tune her process to coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, business mentor extraordinaire and fractional chief marketing officer, Kim Trathen.
Yay.
Luda!
Yeah, that
Luda!
picture of Luda is special.
Lil Kim into his house.
Move! Get out
God, I
the
missed
way.
Whoa, what
opportunity
the
to
fuck?
Little Kim.
Luda.
Kim, had you had a
Oh, you
singular
thought that was a lie?
cocktail at that point?
Had I what?
Had a singular cocktail at that point?
No.
No.
More than singing. This was post-concert. So we had already gone all the way through the concert. Then did a very foggy cab ride to the restaurant where we had dinner reservations. And this was about an hour after getting to the restaurant. So there had been, we lost count of the cocktails at that point in the night.
Well done. You made it there and you got a picture of a lifetime.
Wow.
Sure did.
Wow. Ludicrous. Let's get right to it, shall we? Headlines, Brandon, headlines. And this one comes to us from our good friends at the National Association of Plan Advisors hyphen blah 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 dot blah blah blah. Titled Internal Revenue Service check swing. Internal Revenue Service letter allows more employee choice with 401k contributions and other benefits. I don't know if you guys were able to read this one, but I'll give you the quick summary from my take. As I read about every 5th sentence. Sometimes when you're a big company and you want to do something that's not really in line with the published regulations, but you think it seems okay and good, you can kind of write the Internal Revenue Service like a letter saying, hey, we want to do this thing and here's how we're mapping it out and can we get your approval on this? And this one is centered around a topic that I think we've kind of scratched the surface before. This letter was centered around going to an employee and saying, hey, we as a company are going to chuck up $5,000 or whatever it is, this amount, $10,000. How would you like to divvy that up? Would you like to take $4,000 and put it towards your 401k matching contribution and then take the other 6 and put it towards health and dental or whatever? My question for y'all is, this concept of actually putting it in the participants' hands is the question, you know, like letting them choose where to allocate their dollars. I got to imagine, Chad, that you think this would be a very bright future to do something like this.
There's part of me that does. When I first read it, I immediately responded with like, this is great. We don't necessarily know where they should be spending their next dollar toward their future. Maybe they know better than it being just the 401k plan. And the deeper I got and the more I thought I put into it, I went, they have no fucking clue. They don't. And I'm not saying that the 401k is the right place. I'm saying that allowing them to choose may not be the right direction. And I think some guardrails need to be put up. I think choice is positive, but I think choice could create some paralysis and participants make poor decisions. Now, if you give them 3 options and all 3 options are good options, then so be it.
Justin, you're a smart guy. If let's pretend I'm your employer and you're my employee, shall we? If I was to say to you, and it was some equivalent to what you already get in overall benefits, and I was to say, no, here's the dollar amount, let's assuming it was fair and good. Would you prefer the choice, or would you like me and my human resources team to figure out where your dollars go?
Oh, dude, I'm so conflicted on that because I'm thinking about it from stages of my working career. Like in my early 20s, I didn't know shit about what to do with that stuff. If I had that option, I probably would have screwed it up big time.
Screwed it
Now,
up.
obviously, yeah, being in this industry or being in this industry is super helpful. Plus, with with age comes somewhat wisdom. You kind of learn, okay, I know what to do here. But the vast majority of people,
Good
I
point.
think, don't know
Would
much.
struggle with the concept. Kim, I'm sure
Yeah.
you've received a paycheck from someone else other than yourself before. I mean, would you have liked the control over your money, your accounts, to divvy it up versus being told what to do?
I was a big question asker. So I would have been asking all the questions if I was given the choice to try to figure out what the best investment would have been. But I think about a lot of my friends who literally know nothing about retirement plans. And they used to come to me with their questions. And I'm thinking they would rather have somebody make the decision for them. I know that. But I was the question seeker. So I would have figured it out. And I would have enjoyed having my own choice.
Chad, I don't know if this article goes into it, but where my brain starts to go to is like, okay, it'd be great to like give people choice, and or maybe the more realistic way this looks is that it's a consultant with the employer deciding where to spread these things out. But how does this deal with like I'll drink with testing on employer contributions and stuff? Like, it's going to get really dicey if you're only going to give 5,000 to this person in the 401k, but then because you're giving 5,000 to the other person in the health benefits program.
The way I read it, JD, is that it's almost filtering out from the top down, that the money, that 5K in your example, is going to count towards plan testing. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to hit the 401k plan, but that is an employer contribution that's counting towards plan testing. And if they choose to silo it out to their health savings account or one of their other options like reimbursement for student loans, then it still is hitting the 401k testing category. So I don't think it creates any implications or negative impacts there. I think it's a participant decision, almost like we've been given the right now with participants to choose to make the employer contribution raw. Right? It's still going to hit the retirement account, but they get a choice of how they want to represent it in their own account. In this case, they're just getting a few other options of where they want that money allocated.
Well,
I think Tony hit the nail on the head right there. You see that? Oh, yeah, you're going to talk about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Tony Davis kind of backs you up, Chad, where he was also saying one thing he's learned over the years is like more choice isn't necessarily good. And I think most of us would agree with him on that. But with that said, I know there's a lot of people that are really passionate about, from a consulting perspective, about where the employer's dollars go. And if you could customize more for participants. And so I'm stating the obvious. This obviously is not my idea. It's been discussed. If a consultant could work with a client to actually say, hey, let's look at the demographics of your employees, or excuse me, let's look at each employee individually and let's allocate to them appropriately based on their situation. Could be a nice future. I
But
don't
it's
know.
not let me make sure I'm understanding correctly what I read. It's not the employer making the decision as to where the dollars go.
Not in this
The
particular
employer
case.
making the decision as to what options the employee has, but the employee is choosing if I want my money in the 401k
In
or
this particular case, but I was saying a possible reality for us in the future is put that control with the employer, to say, hey, I'm going to
that's
figure
a
out who I
nightmare
want.
waiting to happen.
Mhm.
That's liability an employer doesn't want.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. But customized approaches seems to be a lot of people are talking about that is the future. So
Just think of the short, 15 plus years that I've been doing this. It was about getting people to save. Then it was about getting people to save the right amount. Then it was about getting people to invest correctly based upon their age tolerance. And now we're coming up on this phase of, well, maybe what we're giving them is not going to the right place based upon where they're at in their working career or their life. I think that is a phenomenal step forward for us as an industry to say, if the employer is sectioning money out for health benefits, for payroll, for long-term care, for all the different costs and different benefits we offer, if we can then add a few other things in there that an employee can segregate money out of what the employer is going to give them and have it be more beneficial to their individual lives versus just hitting the 401k, that to me is positive.
Yeah.
Now we'll see where it goes from there. But
Mark, I don't think our producer's riding the mics, so I want to check your own fat thumb, you motherfucker.
So I was gonna say, sometimes it happens where when the show starts, YouTube will just pop on and the music will start playing from something else. So
yeah.
you should go check that.
Yeah,
but
Mark.
also, yeah, comment down on the fat thumbs. Okay, they're called sausage fingers, buddy. All right.
Sausage fingers, much better. Well, I don't know if participants will need to educate themselves too much. It won't be hard for them to educate themselves in the future because they will have things like TikTok. And I have been on TikTok. I see a lot of golf videos. I'm very into small black Labradors on TikTok. It's a big thing of mine. And once in a while, I get a little financial services dealio. And I've been seeing Empowers TikTok. I fed one to Brandon. He's going to put it up there. And I just want to have a little convo about how Empower is doing with their TikTok account. Brandon?
Oh, sorry, man. Sorry.
Personal foul, roughing the coworker. This is not some mosh pit. This is a professional place of business. Let's keep it professional. We can help you make the right call for what's next.
I'm watching you. Dare I start as the pessimist? I'll just go straight to Robe Guy. We haven't heard a lot from him. What do you think, Robe? Is your cringe level at 3 or 10?
Oh God, I don't know what to say right now. I'm a little...
Say it. This is a trust tree, Mark.
Dude, so it's one of those things where I don't understand. It's probably a better question for Kim, like the whole idea here around some of these things, because I think that a lot of things have to be intentional, where I think to myself, did someone sit down and say, let's make this super corny, right? Like, let's make this look like it came out, 12 years ago, and like, we don't know what we're doing or whatever. And it's going to give this cool, like, weird vibe. But honestly, I don't think that that's the case. I think this is them taking a stab at it. And I'll just say that I don't think they did it. I'm not going to say anything.
Kim, you spend a fair amount of time thinking about these things. Your Instagram is popping off. I've seen it.
Luda! Sorry.
But
You have to drink every time you say Luda.
I mean,
you can add that rule. That's
I like
fine.
it.
We can
I
add
like
rules. We can add rules. How do you feel about large corporations and specifically financial institutions trying to jump on the social media train and or what you just saw? Like any of your thoughts feel free.
So one thing I thought was interesting is that video that you just played has over 72,000 plays on it on TikTok. And it has 5,300 people have liked that video.
not sure if that's a
I
good
found-
thing.
I found
Okay,
that
wait, hold on.
surprising.
How many
Kim,
employees?
I think you
how many
want less
employees-
people to see that, not more people to see it.
But how many employees does Empower have?
Oh, good question.
More than that.
Employees are that engaged? Do you think they're that engaged that they would
Oh,
go like,
I think
Their
I think
video?
an email blast went out and they had to. It wasn't an option.
their bonuses depended on it? Maybe their bonuses depended. I looked at their LinkedIn after you sent that because I was really curious to see what their LinkedIn presence looked like compared to their TikTok presence. Their LinkedIn is not looking good. I mean, this one has
Tell us how you
5,300
really
likes.
feel, Kim.
Sorry, Empower. If anybody on here, God, should I have asked if anybody works for Empower that's
No, we don't
watching
care.
this right now?
I
Trust
do.
me, Kim.
Okay.
I do.
Kim,
Honesty is what we're all about.
I guarantee you we will get an email within the next 4 days about I fucking guarantee you. But go on and don't hold
I'll
back.
frame it. Forward it to me and I'll frame it in my office. LinkedIn posts have like 16 likes on them. So, and the rest of their TikTok isn't popping off. My guess is they put paid advertising behind this. It's the only way it got that many eyeballs on it because it's not super funny. It's not super catchy. It's not using any trending audios. And their other videos have like 500 to 1,000 plays. This one has over 72,000. So I'm pretty sure they put paid dollars behind it. I think it is smart though. However, I'm not a fan of this video, but I think it is smart for large corporations to be leveraging the different types of social media because you get in front of a different demographic. You get in front of a little bit younger demographic. You can start getting these like financial thoughts, advice, tactics, even just the language that financial companies use. You can start getting that in front of younger people sooner.
I just feel like every time I see, and I really do mean like every time I see a large corporation in financial services try to get into this, I just see their blueprint all over it. Like I'll drink, their DNA is all over it. It's awkward. Even if they're trying to jump on a trend or something, it lacks authenticity. And when I say authenticity, I mean like I'm learning even as an old 53-year-old that the best shit on social, from what I see, TikTok especially, is this kind of really organic, kind of confident, no holds barred kind of, whether it's humor or whatever, it's not easy to do. Like it takes some talent. And I think a lot of these companies lack that talent and they're trying to clone and copy other things that they've seen. And every time I see it, I'm just like, wah, 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 which then
I think they would do better
no.
if they had some key employees that are truly have an aptitude for that. Like we've seen the UPS drivers go viral on TikTok.
Other industries have pulled it off. Yes.
Yes, but it's their employees that are really pulling it off.
Well,
it's not so much like the branded, it's not the branded videos that we see taking off. It's those specific employees that have gone in and created these large followings, videoing like lip syncing
So what the problem is though,
right?
I'll let nerdy Chad comment here. I'll tell you where the problem is, Chad. Their compliance offices.
I was going to say, don't say compliance.
No, but it is, and
compliance.
it's not like what you think. They're so stuck on what an image or a brand should look like. So it's not so much compliance of like, oh, don't say the wrong things. It's like they have this corporate idea of like that they're this, traditional, well-to-do financial service company. And so they're afraid to cross lines for fear of blowback or what have you. And that limits their creativity. And so all they can do is kind of conservatively copy some things. And I thought I had a question for Chad, but what does Chad know about social media? Let's move on.
Nothing, but that is exactly what I was going to say, is that when you look at that video, you can't just feel like compliance created it. Because I look at that and I'm like, nobody with a creative bone in their body decided this is what we're going to try to put out on our social presence. It was somebody that is as nerdy as me that said, this is going to be great.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's try to make it look like an old ESPN commercial.
Hey, Tom, on your way to work, can you pick up a referee shirt at Dick's Sporting Goods?
Yeah.
This is going to be phenomenal. What the fuck? Okay, let's try another. Here's another feel-good one. Please tell me I've got this somewhere here. Yes, this is from planadvisor.com. 401k millionaires hit record. So apparently we now have more 401k millionaires than ever before. We're approaching just under 500,000 401k millionaires. Good thing. That's great that we're hitting new records. Robe Guy, what do you think about 500,000 of 330 million people? That's not fair because I guess we've got kids and stuff in there, but I don't know how many adults are of the 300. And how many people do we have in the United States? 350 million, 340 million? I have no idea. Someone tell me.
Well, guys, I don't want to brag or anything, but if I continue to save at the current rate that I'm saving at,
Dang it.
I will be a part of that metric in give or take 37 and a half years. So
Sorry.
I'm already putting myself into that bucket. I am a millionaire in my
120 years.
mind.
I had your punchline for you. I thought you were going there and you didn't execute.
I missed one. All right.
Look at the quote or look at the
No.
chat.
I thought you were setting us up for like, I'm going to get there by, age 145 or
I
something.
was trying to be realistic because at some point I'll be like, maybe I'll put a little more. I'll up my percentage. But sorry, JD, I forgot your question. What'd you say?
I was just saying whether you thought that was impressive that there was 500,000 people with $1 million,
No,
or is that disheartening?
No, I'll say this, like, I don't care. That's good for them,
Good answer.
It reminds me of those stupid commercials with Voya where they're carrying around like $9 billion on the
bazillion.
shoulder. Yeah, like,
I liked those.
What?
I thought
do
those were
too.
well done.
it's like anything,
I'm assuming
right?
they're
Like,
trying to celebrate this, and I think it's just simple math. You're gonna naturally get more and more the longer 401ks are in place.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well, and a millionaire meant something different 20 years ago than it does
That's a great
now.
point too.
With inflation and the way things have changed. Like it's still a massive achievement, but let's not downplay what that article leads into, that a lot of the millionaires don't feel like they're necessarily.
Hey, you know who
say
says things like that? Like what Chad just said? Somebody who's got
Rich
$1 million in their 401k
I know.
account.
We're always
what I
very
mean?
sensitive to the people that don't feel that way. But it's true. And even the article does mention it. It says 1/3 of American millionaires consider themselves wealthy. So 2/3 of them don't. And I know that's very geographic driven as well.
What's it feel like, JD?
You know what? To be totally honest, as I search for a joke in my head, let's just go with honesty. Having a lot of money feels damn good. Like you sleep well at night. You know that.
You know why you sleep well? Because your mattress is good and your cotton sheets are like 1,000 thread count or whatever is good.
You know what feels good is like people ask me how much something costs that I bought, and my honest answer to them is I have no idea. Like I just buy it.
Hey, do you know how I know you're an asshole?
Sorry, guys.
You want to know why I truly am an asshole? Because that is actually a true statement. What I just said. I have no idea what it costs. I just gave him my card, whatever it is.
You know what? I still count up my Kohl's cash and I think that I'm rich. Okay. All right.
So like throw a little on top for yourself, buddy. Just give me the Lambo. I want the Lambo in that bright green. Just came out. Just throw a little on top for yourself. All right. Let's do one more. The American Retirement Association, this is big news for our industry, has unveiled a new website. And when I say new website, I mean that's the National Association of Plan Advisors. That's the American Society of Pension and Professional Actuaries. That's the American Retirement Association and all those other entities they claim to run, which I think is a farce, but they all have new websites. It's there. It's new. It works. Looks fine. Not much to report on that. Let's move on. But
what a headline. Not much to report on it, but it's a headline.
Public service announcement. Don't be shocked when you go there and it looks different. That's what happens to boomers. Boomers show up and they're like, hey, this looks different. I don't understand. Where do I toggle? Where do I go? Where's the menu bar? Somebody help me.
Where does boomer age start?
Yeah, I'll just say it's probably JD.
For me,
I was wondering,
it's-
is it
JD, are you a
53?
boomer?
For me,
Dave's
it
boomer.
started about 6 months ago. Yeah. At 52 and a half, I became a boomer. I cannot, when my phone rings and my iPad is open, all hell breaks loose for me.
Do you answer? You pull it off your hip to answer it too, or
Justin, I don't know what to do. I'm like, devices are ringing.
His iPad.
There you go. Devices are ringing. Let's see. Let's play a quick game and then we're going to jump into some serious business talk. Last show, you all had to suffer through a throwback version of the lamer game segment. And although I did enjoy brushing your teeth in the shower, thought that was well thought out. But let's bring back the modern version of this game, the much better 2.0 version. The no for dope game. The no for dope.
Totally
game.
original. Yeah, this intro, I'll give it to you. Gets me every time. I love that thing.
Shut
Thanks,
up, Justin.
I work
Shut
hard
up.
on it. Okay, Kim, this is how this works. I came up with this game a long time ago, and it's got some rules. I'm going to go to you first every time. I'm going to bring to you kind of a pop culture subject, and you're going to let us know if you think it's dope or you think it's nope, and then you're going to tell us why. Okay, a little bit of explanation. Okay, you know when you go to the grocery store and you got your cart and you're leaving the grocery store, you paid, you got everything in your cart and you're heading towards your car. And there's that little area on the ground when you leave, the bumps and the knobs are usually in yellow and they're like little speed bumps for a shopping cart. And for me personally, you're going over and all your bottles of vodka are clinking and clanking together and it's very disruptive. What's with this? Are you dope on these things? Are they safety protocol? You're no. Why?
I'm no. I think they're a giant pain in the ass. I don't see anybody that's like, thank God those were there. That just saved me.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody.
What are they?
You know-
What do
you
they
know
save
that
you
there's
from?
like-
Value do they bring?
Yeah.
What do they save you from?
actual
That's
value?
what I need to know to make a decision.
You know that there's like a purpose behind them, right?
What is the purpose? Runaway carts?
Yeah.
How
No,
often
okay,
is there an
I
actual
Okay.
runaway
did
cart?
Now-
one time have
Oh
a runaway
man, Mark,
cart
I know
in
where
my
you're
house.
going. Now I feel terrible.
What? Go. What?
Oh, I don't.
Oh
Chad-
no, is it gonna be
Chad-
like handicap something?
It's gonna be for people who are visually impaired, isn't it?
Oh no.
Oh god.
That would be
Yep,
the
I'm
super-
so
yeah.
dope on those.
That would be the really intelligent smart thing
Kim,
to say.
you are such a bitch. God.
Oh, wait, I brought my snake. Brittany, bitch.
Oh
What?
yeah. I don't know if Brandon's got that.
Oh.
We may. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut now because I thought they served a different purpose. I thought that those bumps when you went over, that
Yep.
like there was technology that registered your cart, so that way, like when you got to a certain point, you couldn't go any further or something. Like I don't know.
There you go. I'm going to take it a step further than
Those
that.
blister-like bumps, also known as truncated domes and detectable warning pavers, are part of tactile paving. It helps the visually impaired detect when they're about to
Okay.
leave the sidewalk
All
and
right.
get run over by a car.
Here's my controversial flow on that. Now that I've had time to think about
Kim
that.
just wants people to get run over.
I think that's rude. I think that's rude to blind people because if I'm blind,
We're treating them
I
different.
figured out how to navigate my way around this fucking planet.
What if you're a new blind person?
Just last
I
week?
feel like the doors opening signal that you are heading out of the
Good
building.
point.
It does, but you don't know. You don't know how deep
You
your
don't know
sidewalk
that
is.
you
It
just
could be
They
like
got
it.
in the outer world.
They know. They got in. They're getting back out now. They know.
I'm just saying I got mad respect for blind people that navigate around the world, and I don't think they need those stupid little yellow knobs. I think they can do just fine without it. And I think every time they walk over that, or every time they have their cart and their vodka bottles are clinking, they're saying to their blind selves, motherfucker, this goddamn thing, why is it here? That's what I think. Kim, next. Birds as pets.
And you said mine was bad.
You got to put a dumb one in the middle of the good ones.
So I'm actually going to go with dope on this. Only because I just recently heard a story about a bird. I think it was a cockatoo or a cockatiel that solved a murder mystery.
Okay.
Ratted out that their owner was shot. So only because of that, I'm going with
I
birds or
think
dogs.
that was a cartoon on Nickelodeon, but I don't know. Maybe.
Look it up. It happened in Michigan.
Chad, you like cockatoos?
Whoa.
Or birds? Like,
Hey, I'm in. I see no negative to having a bird as a pet. Like,
They're
I
pretty
prefer
dirty.
to snuggle my dogs, but I can't snuggle a bird. I don't know. To each their own. It's all right.
Do you know who had a bird as a pet once? Obi-Wan.
You.
Ooh,
Really?
I'll drink. Yeah. Justin, you like birds?
Not particularly, but it would be cool to have you train one that can just say all sorts of rude shit to people.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Can they all talk? All birds? No, just certain birds.
I don't know. I don't know much about birds.
Rogue guy, I don't want to know how you feel about birds. Okay.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
Everyone wants to know.
If you have a bird as a pet, fuck you. Dude, birds are meant to fucking fly. And you,
Oh, that's a
I mean,
good
Stop
point.
in your cage.
I saw
Stifling.
Brandon, yeah, I saw Brandon put in the chat. I was going there already. Are you serious? Like you're just gonna put an animal that could literally go from California to Idaho tomorrow if they wanted to, and you're gonna put them in a 3-foot box? Like,
Yeah. So
no.
true.
Ooh,
No.
So do you feel the same
Rogue
about
guy.
fish?
What?
Pet fish. Do you feel the
Pet
same about
fish?
pet fish? Yeah.
You know what? Now I do. Fuck yeah. I'm all in.
Roby, I feel the same way about you working here at PDC. Okay.
I don't even know what
Kim.
that means.
Kim. Last one. I don't know if, of course, this happens on the female side of things. I don't go into female
What are
bathrooms
you going to ask me?
often, but you go into the bathroom and all the stalls are open, but there's that big, beautiful handicap one at the end. It's got more space. It just feels like it's VIP to me, at least. Like, so a no for dope on using that. Like, that's not for you, is it? It's for.
Oh, man. It's not, but I do if there's not a line. Like, if I'm the only one in there, because girls are quick in the bathroom. We're not like boys. We're in and out like that.
What?
So-
Liar!
What is
Liar!
she
Sarcasm.
talking about?
Sarcasm.
That is the word. You need to drink for that, by the way.
Yeah.
That's an acro sin right there. That is what do they call it on the internet? Misinformation. Chad, have you ever just said, I'm taking the big one?
Absolutely. And I don't feel good about it. I think Justin knows probably more than anybody how mad I get when people park in handicap spots when they're not supposed to.
Oh God, that's
drives
Too
me
bad.
batty. But that one, I don't know. It doesn't bother me as much. So yeah, I'm guilty.
And I just want to be clear, when I park the G-Wagon, the handicap, it's just because I want to run in to get my coffee from Starbucks. I'm going to be right back. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Justin-
You can walk over the bumps.
Justin, I know you've done it. Have you ever been in there and then worried, what if someone comes in a wheelchair next and you're stuck in there and they're just kind of like, knock, knock. Hey, I can't get into these other stalls. Like, what are you doing?
Well,
in
thank
there?
God that's never happened to me. I don't like to use those ones, to be honest with you. The toilets are always too tall. You know, my legs. You know, just you guys never noticed that about handicap
Your
stalls?
feet go numb.
The toilets are taller.
Have I ever
higher off
noticed
the
that your
ground.
legs are? What do your feetsies dangle?
Yeah. No, it's just not comfortable, man. It's gotta be lower to the ground when you're doing your business.
I need Will Smith to erase that from my memory. What you just said. I don't want to think about that anymore.
Hey, JD, did you take your 2 drinks, by the way? You owe 2
I'll
acros.
catch up. I'll catch up.
Okay, and speaking of drinks, has
Yeah.
everyone taken theirs?
You want to spin it?
What?
You wanna
Oh, we
spin?
can do that. But I thought Kim had said a acronym
Yeah.
Oh, I took
10
mine.
minutes ago, maybe.
Yeah,
Oh, you
she's
did?
got
Okay, I
a.
wasn't sure. I wasn't paying attention.
Kim,
Apologies. Just
what are
making
you?
sure.
What are you
On this
drinking
game here.
Kim?
Yeah, what is that?
What is
Bloody
that?
Mary
Well-
and a glass of wine. That's an odd
Bloody
combo.
Mary.
Oh my gosh.
And
Nicely
wine.
done.
Okay.
Gangs.
Say, Kim, Sometimes taking your two favorite things and bringing them together isn't really the best idea. Like,
I'll let you know tomorrow how this sits.
Yeah.
let's yeah, fuck it. Let's spin the wheel of ice, and then we're going to talk about pricing and profitability. Oh, there's Jen on top of it for me.
That
Listen,
was-
Jen, you don't run this fucking show.
I agree with her though. She's spot on.
Brandon runs the wheel of ice. We know that now.
Oh,
Everybody.
Okay, Kim, we're about to drink Smirnoff Ice, and you're gonna kick this off for us. You had an Instagram post where you talked about ruffling some feathers, that you were gonna possibly ruffle some feathers, and you were talking about pricing in the coaching industry, I realize. But let's apply that to financial advisors, record keepers, third-party administrators as well, if we could, any business. Everyone talks about price increases as a smart business. You were talking about lowering prices, and I thought that was very interesting. So set the stage, and then we've got some questions for you.
thanks for waiting,
Yeah.
Justin.
Why would a business want to lower their fucking prices?
Just thirsty.
All right, so let's talk about raising their prices. Raising prices. Are we raising drinks? Is that what's happening here? Raising prices, raising drinks.
We're just becoming diabetics is what we're doing.
But I was talking about how sometimes the smarter, it's basically for the retirement plan industry, it's like bundling versus unbundling, right? So in the coaching space, we can throw the whole kitchen sink in there and charge people exorbitant fees, or we can unbundle and have them paying for the things that they're actually going to need and use. So I don't know if that's going to ruffle some feathers here with bundling versus unbundling. But when we think about, right, if you were to double your fees and lose half your clients, your bottom line stays the same, right? Also, if you were to lower fees and you have twice as many people come on that you can serve, you're still making the same and you're serving a different market then. So that's really what I was talking about with that.
It sounds like it's less about lowering and more about charging for the services you're actually rendering. You know, almost like
yeah.
a la carte pricing, which in the 401k space has gotten a lot of record keepers in trouble, where one plan is sold one way, the advisor comes back and says, let's put another plan there. That plan is sold without certain features. And now they're looking for certain notice fulfillment, for example, and it's not on that proposal. It's not on that client. And there's a hole in the model. I think the hard part in our world is that retirement plans are still very much sold and not bought. And in that capacity, too many people don't sell what the client actually needs. They try to sell what will be bought. And so they're out there trying to drive the lowest price on a spreadsheet in front of someone instead of trying to bring some value or trying to find out what the client actually needs and stripping out the services they don't. I'll give you an example for us, and the guys know this. We charge, I'll call it extra, for cross-tested profit sharing, for example. Well, that's because a lot of clients don't need it. They don't use it. Why are we going to bake it into pricing for those that are never going to touch it and then average out for the ones that do?
Wouldn't be fair to the rest of the community.
It wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Well, but so when I saw you say that, I didn't know where you were going to go with it, Kim. And I was pleasantly surprised in some of the ideas that you put forth in terms of, you talked about like payment plans, which might not necessarily flow in our industry. Could, if you kind of got creative about it and thought about it. I mean, you definitely could charge clients monthly versus quarterly versus annually and see how that kind of plays out for their own business model. Just being more flexible was kind of an idea that you were bringing up. You talked about unbundling the signature offerings, which we're talking about here. By the way, I don't know whether we did that successfully or not, to be honest with everyone listening in, but we did create something called Kickstart, which was just that. It was kind of a reduction in services and a simplicity in terms of design and everything. And we try to offer it at a far lower rate than our normal services. And I don't know, to be honest with you, whether that was a win or not a win. It creates relationships. It gets the guys' foots in the doors for more advisors. I'm a sophisticated person.
Jump right in.
And so that was cool. Sometimes I worried a bit about, like Chad saying, that clients and partners that we offered the lower price solution to somehow when they woke up 6 months later, felt like they deserved the same that our other clients got, and it's really hard to then get on a call with a client and say, hey, you paid for the less version, which is why we treat you less well.
And let me add to that. What we learned in this, Kim, is that a lot of the clients that wanted the cheaper version actually ended up being far more difficult clients. They were seeking
interesting.
cost, and they weren't communicative. They weren't helpful.
Yeah.
They didn't make servicing them easy. In fact, they made it even more difficult. And I correlated that to the fact that these were people that were truly buying solely on cost.
Let me set up Kim real quick, and then I want to hear the guys' thoughts on this. Let's focus less on a third-party administrator. And Kim, if you've got something here, great. If you don't, it's totally okay. But I'm pretty damn sure this works in other industries. Like this, there's got to be examples of where this works really well. And so maybe you can back that up. And then guys, maybe you can start thinking about, what about financial advisors? Like how might they use this type of approach? So Kim, this got to work in the world we live in.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing about attracting a cheaper quality client, like that's kind of what happens when we feel like we've attracted the more difficult clients. I would just challenge you to think through what else was different in that conversation. Was there any part of you when you were selling it that thought it was going to be an easier sale and thought it might require less talking through, less explanation? Because in my mind, if somebody's wanting more, then it's like, awesome, it's time for you to upgrade. Like you came in at this with us and now it's time to upgrade.
By the way, that's a smart technique as well. Not to do it in a sleazy way, but sell low and anticipate or look for upgrade possibilities. Like that's a strategy in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I use it in my own business. I've been able, with the business coaching side of what I do, I have been able to keep it at a lower investment level for early stage entrepreneurs. And then they can buy upgrades with me. They can purchase additional service once they realize that's what they need. And then also, so I would challenge you to think through, was the conversation just as in depth so that they understood what they were getting? And I don't think we ever want to take on clients that are not going to be a good fit for our business. So even at that lower level,
everybody all the time,
right, right. But like if you're only seeing them come into the cheaper one, Kim, maybe there wasn't some pre-qualification done.
You see these guys sitting next to you and they're internal Devin. They are hungry motherfuckers going after sales numbers. You think they walk in an environment and go, I don't think you're right for us.
I don't. Maybe they need a little more of that.
I've never done it.
Yeah. Our world is a little different in that most of our clients are financial advisors, and we're brought in to help them win their client. And so our larger relationship, sometimes we have to take on I'll say a tough client to solidify the relationship, which ends up being our actual client, the advisor, because it'll be another 10 referrals after that. Now there is a balancing point to that. If we bring on a crappy one, if we say yes to that crappy one and we service it poorly, then that advisor's not going to bring us the next 10.
We're blessed to have entrepreneur and Ubiquity founder Chad Parks in the chat bar. And I'll kind of wrap this topic with people like him, the business that they build, the answer here is finding the right balance. Like you need to find the right, and this doesn't have to be your whole business model. You can do exactly what Kim says. You can have offshoots, kind of unbundled services. And I hear your point, Chad. Everyone heard of the problems that can occur there. But the key is, can you create products or solutions that have the right kind of service and or overhead attached to them, and then the right profitability and the right pricing, and then kind of mix and match and try to find the right solutions? I will tell you, in Chad Parks' business, which is becoming more and more different from ours, or always has been, but they're doing individual retirement accounts. They're doing all different types of plans beyond just one. So clearly Ubiquity is going to have different pricing models, different value adds, different service solutions. And so that's the only takeaway I want for people here, is to realize, like, if you're running a business, and by the way, that means I would say even the three of you are running a business. You're running your sales business for plan design consultants. And if you're a financial advisor out there, you're running a business. Hell, if you're a wholesaler or an internal wholesaler, you're running a business, and you need to think about how you go about that approach. That was actually stupid.
JD, before you transition, you asked the question of us about financial advisors.
Yes.
And I'll make a comment and give a shout out to one who Mark works with now. The only advisor in my career that after a point of sale, but in a point of sale essentially said, hey, my fee is X because you have 4 locations and I'm doing a quarterly enrollment meeting at each location, which requires this much time and effort. I'm doing quarterly fiduciary review meetings. I'm doing an annual plan review meeting. And he laid out time spent. This is what it's going to require. And here are my costs. Only one person has ever done that in my career, and that's John Lococo. Nobody else has. Every advisor will come in and say 50 basis points, or some will even get creative and say, I'm, $5,000 and 25 basis points. So they'll have thought as to why they're charging what they're charging, but very few of them, to Kim's point, ever lay out the services they're planning to render. And if one client doesn't want quarterly reviews, or one client has one location and not 4, or one client wants all online and nothing in person, there's no change in their cost structure ever. So why couldn't you go into a $3 million plan that doesn't want in-person meetings and go at 15 basis points, even though your normal is 25, and sell it that way because your workload is less?
Why couldn't you just want to do it because you want to make a G today, but you make it in a sleazy way? Like, why don't you go in just because that looks salesy good? Your competitors aren't doing it. You walk in after your competitor and you say, hey, did the guy before me or the woman before you ask you how many meetings you wanted every year, or how many meetings you wanted for the employees, or whether you wanted this or you wanted that? I'm about to ask you, because guess what? I'm going to lower my price based on what I have to offer you. I think there's a lot of consumers that'd be like, oh shit, that makes sense. Like, I don't know why the last guy didn't ask me that, so that's cool.
And see what happens when they go ask the last guy or gal that question. They will have no rebuttal.
Yeah. We charge 40 basis points. That's what we charge.
We have a 50 basis point minimum.
Well, when your assets reach 10 million, we'll reduce that. Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with what I want from you in terms of my services. So I think Kim's concepts that come from outside of our industry are very applicable in our industry. And I would just hope that this would motivate people to spend some creative time when thinking about how they might price their solutions and their product, because there are some answers there, and those answers could move the needle in terms of growth and sales and those types of things. And we'll come back to growth and sales and how to go about that with some innovative strategies, unless there's something that Jen wants us to do next. Is Jen still here? Jen, it's your show. What do you think we need to do next? And Jen, I want to give you a little disclaimer. If I ever advertise a show online about what we're going to talk about, the beauty of this show is we get drunk and we just talk about whatever. So it's just really it's just a fishing lure, and you're a fucking fish in the water and you see it and you're like, oh, they're going to talk about this. Boom. And you grab it. And then I reel you in. I'm like, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. Bam. Deal with it. Retireholics. Okay. Let's do what everyone wants to do. Make money. And Kim, you know how you make money? You gotta find.
I get so excited when you go on those little rants. It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
You gotta find a guru. You gotta find a leader. You gotta find a mystic. You gotta find someone who
wasn't on the agenda,
who can read the stars.
Yeah, it was.
And here on Retireholics,
didn't look at it.
We call that drunk stock tips. Drunk stock.
Even if it wasn't, who gives a shit? We do what we want.
Apparently so.
I don't know what statico means. Statico.
Did she really?
Yes. Well, we happen to have in our presence here now that very such guru. Rogue Guy just has a knack for these kind of things. The only stock that I'm hoping he gets right these days is good old Cheesecake Factory.
It's not looking good, JD. It's not
You got a
looking good.
Where's
few
it
more
at? I
months to
haven't
pull
looked at it in
that
a
one
while.
off.
38 right now.
Yeah, it jumped back up, jumped back up. It's all part of the game. It's all part of the game. I'm not going to go into your history right now. Let's see if everyone's interested, we'll set that up for our next show. And we've got a big guest coming, by the way. On an
We have a big guest right now. That's what I'm
Yeah,
focused
sorry,
on.
that was kind of rude, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hello,
Wow.
guy.
Another female, mind you, is on the docket coming at us in a big one. Almost as big as the one.
Don't care. Go move on.
Someone give me the shovel. Where's okay? Robi,
Yeah.
stock for you.
Yeah.
You just gotta
How
find
this
where
works.
it went. We use it. We pay money to this company.
Oh no.
Here we go.
They,
Uh,
as you would guess,
Do we
blew
really
up.
use it?
Yeah, we do a lot.
Let him go,
some of us do.
The ticker is, I don't drink for saying the letters, DOCU. The company's called DocuSign.
Oh, phew.
As you would
Oh.
imagine, it blew the hell up in 2020 thanks to the good old pandemic and everyone working from home. It has since then kind of corrected itself, and I mean, if that's the term you want to use, it does about 58 billion and 11 billion in market cap, almost 12 billion in market cap. And the current price of stock is at 56.93. It reached a high of 200 or 300 plus in August of 2021. But I know you don't care about that, Roby. Do we buy it? Do we sell it? What do we do?
Again, I'm just gonna keep my answer real simple. Is it something that makes life easier on people?
Chad?
Yeah.
Yes.
When I think about signing a document,
Sucks.
it's a DocuSign, right? Like it's in the friggin' name. They named themselves correctly.
Have you personally
Right?
used it?
Yeah, it's super confusing, and I'm a boomer when it comes
No.
to using it. Yeah, it's
It's
actually
so
not
easy.
It's actually not very user friendly, but but it's better than a paper and a pencil. Okay. I think they're at a discount right now. You gotta buy. You gotta get in there. Get in. Yeah.
It looked to be. I guess the question would be, do they have a lot of competition, or what is the future?
No,
look-
I couldn't even tell you who their competition
What's artificial intelligence going to do?
I use one of their competitors, so I know they
Oh, you
have
do?
competition.
How dare you?
What's their name?
What are their names?
Signature.
I use Sign Now.
Sounds
That's
like a-
stupid.
Look good.
That's a stupid name. That's a stupid
Good
name.
name. You
all
just-
right?
We need to compete with
Now.
DocuSign. We need to compete with
Don't
DocuSign.
buy
What's
their
the name of our
stuff.
company be?
Yeah.
Nice hack. That's pretty good.
No,
Yeah.
I think
Only
brand rec-
signatures.
for sure,
So,
right?
No.
And they've got to
Only
be
Sig.
curve when it comes to this type of stuff. Chad, do you think Roby's on the right track?
So I have two thoughts. One, DocuSign is incredibly expensive, and I have to think that they're going to compress some of those costs, which will lead to less profitability and probably see a little stock drop. I also wrote into the chat bar, like,
What's he saying?
I think we're on the verge of a pullback, team. I really do. I think you should be saying sell to almost everything if you're trying to predict the next 6 months.
That's the doomsdayer of the economy right now.
Wow. That's
Oh,
a guy
boy.
who has $1 million in his 401k
No,
plan.
it's a guy
right
that's
there.
sitting here in an election year, in a polarizing
I get-
election year, looking at the markets and going, we're still slightly inflated from where we should be. And yeah,
Hey, Chad,
right. Put
Chad,
all your money in
let me-
crypto.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, Jesus.
Important
Right.
question. When your pen runs out of ink, how are you going to sign a document?
I'm going to open it up in Adobe, and I'm going to electronically sign a date stamp in Adobe.
You're going to sign the
That
document,
sounds terrible.
flip it, reverse it, scratch that, DocuSign it. They're already winning.
All right, don't worry. I just rallied up in my E-Trade back in Roby. He rarely gets the stuff wrong. He's got a high percentage.
Tomorrow, their stock's gonna go up by exactly 3 cents.
I would like to set for the agenda in the future to dive deeper into Chad's pessimism of the economy. So let's set that as an agenda item, shall we? That should be fun. Thank you, Rope Guy. I appreciate it. You are stacking my wallet so fat. I can't even put it in my back pocket anymore. That's how successful you are. Kim, let's see. Let's combine two major topics because I know Jen wants to make sure we get to everything that was in the advertised, postings out there. I don't even know who Jen is, but I love ripping on her.
I hope you didn't scare her away. I hope she's still here. Jen, are you still
we
here?
love
still
scaring
here.
people away. We love
Yeah.
scaring people. Let's see. Let's combine growth and business statistics. No. Fuck that shit. You know what I want to talk to you about? No.
Hit me
Jen,
with it. Hit me with it, JD.
Jen, stop crying. We're going to pivot to new topics that weren't on the thing because Jen, this is my example. I was researching Kim after I had already established what the topics would be, and I found her talking about something else that I thought was way more interesting, and so we'll talk about that.
I wonder what I said.
Goal setting. I want to talk about goal setting, and I'm going to set the conversation with Devin, our internal salesperson, has been taking me out to little golf outings with advisor partners of ours, or even people we'd like to be partners with. And I have been impressed a few times when talking business with these set advisors, when they tell me specifically what their goals are for the current year in terms of, we want to do this much in revenue in Q1 or Q2, or we want to do this much in new plan sales each month, or we're looking to do this, or that. Jen.
Keep going, JD.
Don't get sidetracked.
And I walk away from that going like, if I had to put my money on that person versus other people I meet, I would, because they seem very detailed and visionary and have planned it out. And don't you think, I'm going to the marketing branding person, so I know you're going to agree, but please enlighten us. You can't reach goals if you don't set them first. And don't you think as a society of all of us business people, even the guys here that have their jobs every day, and me as a business, I am involved in 3 different companies that I own and run. And I suck at this sometimes. Most of us do, don't we? Most of us suck at setting defined goals.
Yes.
Kim.
Absolutely. And that's why probably 95% of people are miserable as adults. I mean, employees are disengaged. Turnover is higher than ever. Like, I think there's a lot of people that if they even just approach their job differently, even if they're not in a sales position or in a leadership position, if they just approach their job differently and actually set goals for themselves and then communicated that with their managers or their leadership team and had the support of it, right? It could be an entirely different world that person is living in on their day-to-day. But in general, I think humans are just really terrible goal setters.
And I
They get
cannot
distracted. They don't have the vision.
Because they're fearful of the failure.
Yeah, it's going to set you up for failure. I was going to say, it's not going to set you up for success. Mark and Justin, one of you grab this first. I'm sure Chad sets goals for you, which, by the way, I don't think I definitively set goals for Chad to set goals for you very often. He's agreeing with me. So I am true when I said I suck at this stuff. And I saw that even Will Hackler, I think he was self-admitting he sucks at this most of the time, which is good to hear. How are you guys at setting your own goals as sales guys, or do you just let Chad tell you what you think it is? Like, how does it play in your day-to-day motivation to get out there and do what you do?
Well, I'll just keep it real simple. Thanks to Chad, he gives us the utmost autonomy to to truly, like
Is
you said
that
earlier,
good?
like, no, I again, I think it
No.
is very good, but I think it can lead to some, individual lackluster approaches.
Trust tree, Mark. Trust tree.
I'll
Say
put
it.
myself into that category. Like, I'm not good at that, setting personal goals. I struggle with that. So I know that we have a team goal. I know that I have an individual goal. I know that it exists, but we have to own that on our own, and we have to achieve that on our own. And it's because we all truly care. We know that, JD, you've given us this ability and this amazing life to do what we want to do. And we have that, and we wear that, and we're true to that.
The
What I
truth,
want to know is how important the numbers are to you every day. Like, are the goals that you set something that inspires you, or is it something that?
let me answer that.
Yeah.
Let me answer that for them as a manager and tell you that I feel like I have failed them as a manager, and say, I think they're each motivated differently. And Justin has verbalized it to me a number of times. He's motivated by the competition. Justin wants to be challenged. He wants to try to beat me. He wants to try to beat Mark. That motivates.
I thought you were talking about our competition. He wants to beat you guys.
No. Like, yeah, that's a driving force for him. And I have failed to give him the goals that he needs. That, from a manager perspective, that's bad on my part. What I will say in full circle is that I don't think Mark is motivated by the goals. Mark is motivated by the success. Justin's motivated by the competition. Mark's motivated by the success. It's a balancing act of how you handle that. What I will say as a whole is goals are necessary, because you have to be able to grade yourself. It's a very dark hole that you live in if you don't set a goal.
Well, can I
and
also
you never
ask
know
you,
if you're actually achieving.
thinking about our audience that actually wants, I know Jen is taking notes and she wants to learn something here or set a goal for herself. Don't top level goals need to be defined so then you can define lower level goals? And I guess what I'm talking about is, if y'all say, it's this classic thing in the industry, if you do 500 meetings is your goal, and those 500 meetings equate to 200 proposals, and those 200 proposals equate to 50 closed plans. This is all centered around goal setting. It's around having measurements for what you do. And I don't think you can close the 50 plans without understanding what it is you need to set goals for underneath that. I mean, we're not talking about
Agreed.
what is it when you like make
You need
things
to-
happen in your mind? Man, we're not talking about manifestation here. We're
Manifest
talking
visual.
about developing a strategic plan to sell a certain amount of business in a
You're
certain.
talking about the micro efforts that lead to success. Those are two different things in my mind.
Yeah, you gotta. I don't think so. I mean, you don't achieve the big goal without breaking it down and achieving
Yeah.
the smaller goals, though, too.
Fair.
So,
Right, Kim? You
taking
agree
the
with
annual,
that?
breaking down to quarterly,
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
to.
pushing
If
it
all
down to,
you,
or
if all
breaking
you
that down
talk
to
about are
monthly.
top line
High
goals,
level.
yeah, like the
You're just
goal
wishing
isn't
on
as
shit.
likely to be realized. Yeah,
You need
like
a path
it's
to
a
get
wish and
there.
a hope that, like, you have to have steps to get you there. And I think there's a difference too, like you were talking about their motivations of competition versus success. I think anybody in leadership and even people in sales, when you understand what's motivating the client, right? So like in a leadership position, if you understand what motivates your team, then the way that you communicate those goals and the way you communicate the strategic plan might look differently to each of them, because you know what their motivations are. And even somebody in a sales position, if they can understand what truly motivates that person on the other end of the screen or the other end of the phone or the other side of the table, the person making the decision, if you can understand what their goal is behind making that decision and what motivates them, then you can speak to each client differently too when you're in pitching.
It's less measurable, but if Justin was very much, I'm just making up things here. If Justin was very much into numbers and Mark was very much into relationships, Mark's would be harder to measure, but you could set goals that are like, hey, this is my dream of the future. Like, I want to have this many people that I really like and get along with and do work things together and go to this many events. I actually would have positioned Justin more like that. Like, he's a very social, kind of out there doing events and stuff. But anyways, my point is, sure, you can set different types of goals that match. I'm backing up what Kim's saying.
But the point that you're trying to make here is that goals need to be set. This
I
needs
think
to
too
be
many
a
of us don't.
thoughtful process.
And I also don't think, Chad, that it's getting together on December 10th and saying in 2025, we want to do 1.5 million in new sales. Like, okay, great. But it's to Justin's point. You got to set up all the things underneath that and set all those micro goals to that equate to that number. You can't just sit around. I think too many people do that. They go, this is my goal. I want to sell. I'm an advisor. I want to sell 10 new plans a year. You know, regardless, we won't talk about the details of how big or how small. And it's like, okay, you can't just say that. Now you need to figure out how are you going to accomplish
you got to have
that.
a plan to get there.
And those are other goals. Those are smaller goals. And so that's my takeaway today is
Tony makes a good point too. It's gotta be trackable.
Yeah.
To Justin's comments earlier, if you're going to talk about the number of meetings needed, the number of new relationships and engagements, you got to have a good CRM system.
It's going to be
I
hard.
want to try it, Mark. Thanks. You have to be able to track it.
We pissed off Jen by not talking about business statistics, but if you're not measuring things, then it's going to be hard to look back and say, oh, that didn't work. Because here's the bummer of business. Sometimes things don't work exactly how you envision them to play out. And I mentioned that product that we came out with several years ago, Kickstart. I think that possibly could have been a bad decision on our part. I don't know that to be true yet.
It wasn't.
But it's my point is you can news alert. You can make bad decisions as a business. And the best way to determine whether they're bad or not bad, what did you drink, Chad? Whiskey?
Oh my God, Mark, what is
you gonna be okay, buddy? Hey, where are we at on the level of terrible to malort?
Oh
right,
my God.
So can I
Yes,
give a
please.
little insight? So Chad is actually sitting in the room next to me. He's in my home right now because they surprised me by coming out here for my birthday. We found this at Safeway today. It's called Mango Shota. It's mango jalapeno tequila. It's fucking disgusting.
Oh my God, it burns.
You know what that reminds me of? Do you guys miss being on stage? That's the type of thing we'd go buy and put on the stage for our live shows.
I do miss being on stage.
Next year, 2025, we'll get back at it.
I think for every year, instead of real quick sidebar, but not really sidebar, we've always done Malort. Next year we should have it, stick to one different type of booze for the penalty.
Okay. And can we start a social campaign to try to get sponsored by said selected booze? Like, let's really go all in.
That worked when we started.
The hotel won't let us.
I'll let you guys
Sorry.
know.
Sorry. We'll get back to it. We're back to it.
I'll let you guys know, but in all seriousness, I'm going to be counseling with Jen to see what Jen thinks we should do next year for the live show. So we'll figure.
You are freaking brutal right now. You are not letting up.
I almost feel bad for Jen.
Jen, tell me you're doing okay, Jen. Tell me you're doing all right. Come on. All right, let's go Chap Our Champion and let's get the fuck out of here. Who won last week?
Don't know.
Don't
Don't remember.
Right.
Well, I wasn't here last week.
Yeah, you were.
You were.
Wait, never mind. Not 2 weeks.
Shows.
3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago.
My vote for Chap Our Champion is Jen. Justin.
I second that.
2 Jens.
He didn't ask you. I'm going Tony tonight.
Tony. Okay, Tony's good.
He's solid.
Wait, I'm taking my vote
Sorry,
back.
Hack.
Jen said indeed. I don't like that word. That's weird. Indeed.
Oh,
used
Jesus.
that earlier.
I like it even more now.
Locked it in for Jen. I've locked it in for Jen. Chad, your vote for Chap Our Champion.
All show long, I was Kush, but I feel like Hack stepped it up in the last 30 minutes. So Hack for me.
Hack. And our guest of the night, Kim, your vote.
Team Jen.
Okay, 3 Jens. A Hack, whatever.
Hold on. Hack has a theory here. That
What?
Kim is Jen. Is this something going on here? Hold on. No, time out. I
right.
changed my vote to
Jen, put your hands in the air. Jen, type something.
I think Jen wins for Chap Our Champion. Jen, you get 1,000 points into the rankings, and you're in the hunt for the prize at the end. Although there's some people with in the past, Jen, we would have sent you like $150 worth of hot dogs or something, but we don't do that anymore. Now you just get points.
You
know what,
got
Jen?
pissed off, huh?
Jen, I'm going to make an exception for you.
Oh,
If you
she's
show up
getting some
to our
extra points.
next show and you private message me on LinkedIn, who you
Called
are,
DM, boomer.
DM, slide into my DMs. I'll drink twice. We
Don't
will
worry.
send you a prize. And if you're if you're an advisor and needs to be under a certain amount, we'll stay within those rules, but we will hook you up with some dope shit. Just for all the shit that I've given you today. Okay. Drink.
Oh,
Oh God. Chad, you know how you know you're an alcoholic? When you were wincing from drinking your drink, my natural instinct was to try some of my own whiskey over here. Like instead of staying away from it, I was like, I need to experience that wince. Like I need to do the same wince. Kim, thank you, Kim, the business coach, for joining us here on Retireholics. People can find you on Instagram at Kim, the business coach. Kim Trathen on LinkedIn. Is there a website they can go to?
KimTheBusinessCoach.com. They can read all about me. I'm super active on LinkedIn now. They can find me on Instagram,
Sounds like a
TikTok,
pyramid scheme.
Facebook. I'm in all the places.
Perfect. And everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. I know after the boys ran their own show last time, you had thoughts. You were like, maybe never again. Yeah, maybe never again. But I'm here to let you know.
In our frigging defense, JD threw that on us in the busiest time of the entire year, and it was supposed to be creative. Do I look fucking creative? No.
Mute chat, Brandon. Mute chat.
You got a pretty creative
looking
polo on right now.
Don't worry. Hey, don't worry. Daddy's back. Daddy's back. I'm here. I got you, you little deerlings. I got you right here. I got you.
Okay, hold on. Can we be serious for 1 second though?
No, I'm trying to say goodbye on a high note.
But Chad texted after the show that we failed miserably at. Like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to do what you do, and you make it look so effortless. Like, I think more of us need to commend you on that. So thank you for being our guiding light. But Kim, I apologize that sometimes, because he is such a guiding light, he sometimes forgets we have a guest and we should bring you into the mix more often and have more conversation with you. So
Don't look at it. No! I'm an overweight middle-aged man.
Thank you everyone for tuning in.
We
are the Retireholics. We are changing the retirement plan industry one beer at a time, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Kim.
Especially
Thanks, guys.
Especially
so fun.
Let's go watch some football.
You better be there, Jen. You better be there. I'm gonna get you a big fat gift. You're gonna be psyched.
Wait,
Look,
wait, hold on.
for a leaderboard update.
Does she need to be on the next show, the third
Yes.
Thursday,
Yes.
or the
the 19th? I think
actual
Next
real
one.
show?
Next one.
Oh, okay.
By the
All
way,
right.
it's a mystery. I don't know who she is. Is she Jen in a power? Is she Jen at Paylocity? Is she Jen, the third party administrator? I have no fucking.
Hey, is it Jen Wazowski that we use, who is an
Oh
attorney?
fuck! What if it is?
I don't know.
Yes,
Oh.
that would be funny. That'd be great. Okay. Yes. Bye. Big exit. Ah, we're
Watch
out.
football.
Bye.
Hang out with Mark's kids.
We'll see you next
See you
time.
guys.
See you guys.
Brandon, play the music.
Here
Thank
we
you, Kim.
come, walking down the street.